Hey, good morning. My name is Eric. I'm making a game. I'm a little bit mellow. Well, even more mellow than usual. Mellow, euphemism for groggy. Yeah, because I didn't go for my first cup of coffee out to Starbucks today because two reasons. One, my car got broken into and it's in the shop. Second reason, there's raging wildfires all around, so it doesn't seem that pleasant to go walk to Starbucks like I probably would normally. So those two things mean, I guess I'll have my first coffee right here at home. And so I'm starting this a little bit extra groggy. It's going to be a lot of trips up and down the stairs to get more cups of coffee. I think I overstated the wildfire thing. They're not nearby wildfires in Seattle where I'm at. There's just all over the Washington state, 300-mile radius kind of thing. There's many wildfires, and the air quality is not healthy outside to go walk around. The sky is just brown. It's light brown, kind of a tan color. It actually doesn't smell bad when I go outside. But I've made mistakes before where I've kind of gotten a little bit of exercise out in the air like that, and I paid for it. So anyways, and other people are having a much more terrifying time, so I don't want to make it out to be a bigger deal than it is. I'm actually more worried about family members that are in other parts, but nothing I can do about that. So let's work on the game. Let's do a little demo here and see recent progress. That's how I like to start these streams. I think I left out one logical point. My car got broken into and it's in a shop getting the broken window repaired. Alright, as if anybody cared. Okay, so the thing that's new, this guy's going to walk up the stairs. And he was doing that before, but he's doing it in a much more rigorous manner now. This guy, when he's on the road, he doesn't care about anything except following the right lane. Or at least, maybe in his mind, he would like to punch me in the face, but the rules of the road say that he must follow the right lane if he's on the road. He can't stop. If he comes to stairs, he has to keep following the right lane. See this guy in front of me? He's just thinking, I just want to turn around and beat on this person that's chasing me. I'm his target, but he can't do anything. That's the rules. He follows the rules. And these other characters here that I call bystanders, which are your basic NPC type of a thing, they don't have any murderous intent for me, like the one in front. But they also have to follow the rules of the road. So if you're on the road, you go down the right lane. No, he's going to turn there. He has to. No freedom until, and this is the thing I'll add back in today, you reach a crosswalk. As soon as you reach a crosswalk, you may exercise, I say you, the creature may exercise their free will and decide where they want to go. Although you could get into philosophical arguments about whether or not it's free will if he's been assigned this murderous intent by me, the programmer, and then what caused me to assign that murderous intent to him. Anyways, that's college freshman talk. No point in debating free will. But yeah, so the goals that are assigned to him, he will get a chance to exercise them once he gets the crosswalk, and then he can use some kind of pathfinding that's sort of built into the data structures of the road to either continue on the road to get to a better crosswalk, or to leave this crosswalk and see how he does as far as getting to his target. And my goal with this has never been to make excellent pathfinding or perfect pathfinding. Like, it would not be that hard for me to pre-calc all the paths to take from every square to every other square and store them in a run length encoded structure that would be large but not too large for modern day computers. For games, it's good to have predictability, at least for the types of games that I'm making. I'll say for logical problem solving games, you know what, I can't even generalize. It's really my type of game needs you to be able to predict what creatures are going to do. I mean, it might be hard to predict, but it should be possible. So right now he's in his beeline behavior where he comes at me, and my movements have been trained to like avoid getting knocked around by him. It's a little bit like almost like a kind of martial arts. You just start to, after a while, have all the tactics memorized, and then it's fun. But if he's always doing some weird thing that you don't quite understand, even if it's intelligent, the game is not nearly as enjoyable. Now, this is not something I'm just coming to recently. This is a principle that was introduced to my mind in the mid-90s, even earlier, 90-ish, in the first prototypes of a game called Drod. And then we made I don't know, I lost track, maybe 5 sequels, me having varying involvement with each of them. Whenever we put something in the game that hid information that made it hard to predict what was going on, that was the stuff that people liked the least, and you could see why. So we had some interesting sort of emergent behavior type stuff with these things called builders. It was just hard to predict what they were going to do, especially if you had several tens of them on the screen. They would have, these directions that would be set for them to go pick up materials and take them someplace else and build something. To make puzzles out of that is it turns it into more of a strategic game than a tactical game. And like Drod, this is more of a tactical game. So anyways, alright, I'm starting to wake up a tiny little bit. Now let me see if I can do some work, some useful work. My brain's going to be moving a little bit slow. It'll speed up as I go. So I am thinking about the algorithm that I want to use. And I've sort of already explored this a little bit in a first implementation of pathfinding and ended up not being pleased with the results. So originally, I had on each and every square on the road instructions for the first step to take towards any other square on the same layer of the road. And here's what would happen. The creatures would be they'd be in their stupid mode. Not stupid, but I mean, they would be in their kind of their unpathed behavior, which for the guy that I was just fighting with is beelining towards me even if there's obstacles in the way. And then when they would go onto the road, suddenly they would have some information about where to go, and it was good information, but it would tell them, leave the road, because that's the fastest way to get to your destination. And so they would leave the road, and then they would, because like maybe the point they were trying to get to was over here, and say they were on the road here, it would tell them go east, and you go east, but their pathfinding is not present when they're off the road. They have their default behavior, which, as I was explaining before, is necessary to have good tactical interactions with them, where you have a satisfying ability to predict and respond to their movements. So they would get stuck here, and it really messed up the value of the pathfinding. The basic principle that I only wanted them to have some good ideas of where to go when they were on the road, to have that pathfinding, was good, but having them get instructions to leave the road wasn't good. So I could have them get to a crosswalk first. This was my next idea. And then the crosswalk would say, well, we will give you the next step to take on your journey that we know is optimal to reach your destination. But as soon as they leave the crosswalk, even though they have probably perfect advice, or at least very excellent advice, they don't have the whole path. I don't want them to have the whole path, because that would ruin their predictable tactics. So what happens is they would get to a crosswalk, and then they leave the crosswalk, and then they get stupid again. And that excellent path that they had, or at least the excellent first step on an excellent path, would not continue to take them towards their destination. They get gummed up on minor obstacles. So the algorithm I think I want to do now is that the road will direct them to the crosswalk closest to their destination. And more than that, it will be the crosswalk that's closest in terms of actual steps you can take to reach the destination. So it won't simply take them to a crosswalk that puts them right next to a wall that would obstruct them from going to their target square. Like you could imagine like a crosswalk, and it's just got a totally enclosed space here. As soon as you get off of it, you're just stuck. It's a dead end. It won't do that. It will actually verify that the destination square is reachable. We'll do that in pre-processing too. So that generally it's going to give pretty good advice to get close to the target square of the piece that wants to move, the creature that wants to move. And it'll drop them off at the crosswalk that's closest. So I think that's the algorithm I want. It does mean I'm gonna have to give up some of my other cleverness that I coded up earlier, but I'm a big fan of ignoring sunk costs. The best way forward is the best way forward, and it doesn't matter what you did in the past to get to your current point. It doesn't matter if the best way forward means that you wasted some time with the previous approach. I don't know that I wasted it either. It was some honest exploration that maybe needed to be done. The previous algorithm wasn't chosen without some heavy consideration, but you got to play with these things, and sometimes you find out there's a better way. All right. So I'm gonna finish this little remainder of a cup of coffee. I'm gonna grab one more cup downstairs, come right back up. It won't be long. It's gonna be like, I think 40 seconds. I'm gonna drink the coffee on my way down to get my coffee. That's how serious I am. Drifter, good morning to you, sir. Hey, what's the wildfire activity like up in Canada? You guys got problems that way? I do. He is an antagonist. These two big floating hands, and he's not necessarily like your God. I don't know if you believe in God. He's a fictitious God, and the main character is at odds with God throughout the game. Alright, thinking about this pathfinding algorithm. Bring up my little backlog scratch pad here. Alright. So thinking about my requirements first. Let's say creatures should travel to crosswalk it's kind of a freaky thing when you've got all these beautiful trees around you, and do so much for us, and then suddenly they turn into a vulnerability. That's, but yeah, Canada, all those evergreens, Washington, same thing, Oregon. So I guess other parts of the country, they got to worry about hurricanes and okay. Yeah. The thing that irritates me the most is when I just think like some lone nut or some idiots throwing a party can just destroy so much. Like, it can be an arsonist. It's like more powerful than speaking of dates, 9/11 yesterday. He's more powerful than a terrorist, like a 9/11 terrorist. Just you go out in the woods someplace, light a fire. Yeah, but that's the thing. Only you can prevent forest fires. You can't prevent everybody. Like, we don't have any power to go out and stop people from being reckless or malicious with fire. Only a little bit. Alright, creatures should travel to crosswalk. Pre-proc. In-game. Let's say playing. It's true. So maybe I'll work backwards from the type of structure I want available while playing. Use direction steps. Yeah, that's it. I already have the structure. So nothing new needs to happen there. Well, you got a new keyboard? You got one that's got springy clicky, nice mechanical action. I think you said something about that. I wonder if it's such a thing that you switch one of those keyboards and then your fingers get tired because you got to keep on pressing down a little bit harder. Yeah, that's fine. doesn't work. Okay. I need some supporting information before I can calculate the direction steps. Okay. It's got some meat to it. I mean, it feels straightforward. The algorithm does. It feels like it doesn't have holes in it, but I also see many hours of coding to do this. This does have a feel of being correct to me, like not like a quick way to do it, but correct. Let me think if there's any other ways that are maybe easier. So number 2. I'll copy this one over. I keep thinking of wrinkles that are effectively the same thing as the first thing I typed in. I'm just gonna add a note. Don't store that should help. Okay, I'm gonna take a little break. I'll be back in maybe 10 minutes or so. Oh, catching up on the chats here. Yeah. I mean, a good thing though is, I mean, I think I see clouds up above us. Wouldn't mind some rain, unless I'm just misunderstanding, like it's just like the smoke has made it look like clouds. That might be what it is. Do a little rain dance later on so we can get some rain going. Hey Z, good to see you. All right. Think this through one more time if there's any. So today, I've got, going up and down the steps done. I think you caught that with me last night. Today I want to add the functionality to direct the creatures on the road to the crosswalk that is best for them, and once they get to the crosswalk they can leave the road. And maybe by the end of the weekend, today and tomorrow, I can get roads finished up. That would be pretty good. Not that I don't enjoy working on them, but the goal is to get further along. Got to release the game, not work on it forever. Okay. So maybe this is worth breaking down a little bit further. Figure out specific changes to classes I want to make. Yeah. So I had told myself I'm done adding new features into the game, but the roads solved another problem I needed, and I found them pretty compelling once I started playing with them. So gave myself just a little bit of slack there to add something in new that I thought would be really cool. So this screen that shows my status, for a pretty long time this left side had nothing new on it. Then I added roads, and that's the first new feature I've added in months and months. So I run a semi-tight ship. Okay, let me think. Crosswalk map, what does that look like? Maybe this is list crosswalk. And what's a crosswalk? I don't think it's a crosswalk though. It's a crosswalk square, because each crosswalk square, each crosswalk has 4 crosswalk squares. So let's call it some crosswalk square. Thanks. I'm a sneezy guy sometimes. These are just direction steps. And my breadth first search is just going to end up extending out to everything. So even though I'm saying stores a step to take to reach any other crosswalk square, when I calculate this, it's just going to give me steps to everything. That would be the simplest way to do it, because I already have code that works like that. But maybe there's something else though. While I'm extending out to reach all these directions, I'm also doing the work of calculating distance to get to places. So really, this is find the steps to get to every square reachable in the level from the crosswalk square. And as I encounter other crosswalk squares, I want to store the distance. Store the distance. For reaching those other squares. So let me think about that. Could do a dictionary, CRH, int. Number 2. God, there's a rub to it though. There's two kinds of travel. One is on-road and one is off-road. No, it still works. Okay. Yeah, it's just going to be a variation of the first one, so. Any other square when encountering and finding other crosswalk squares, store distance to reach them. Okay. No, I need distance to everything. Yeah, I don't need the distance to other crosswalks. That's not the distance I need. Okay. So each crosswalk square will also have an exit square. Or let's just say exit direction. It'll have one. No, that's not true. That's not true. It could have multiples if it's on a corner. Okay, maybe I can not worry about that part yet. Okay, so got a new kind of storage for distance. It can be let's do byte, bam, bam, bam. Distance. Target distances. Okay, so typically that'd be like 1 megabyte of memory. Kind of worst case, 1 megabyte. But I only have to store that for each crosswalk square, and it's only used in edit time, not at play time. So that's okay. Nice simple data structure. Doesn't have to be optimal. Not optimal for storage anyways. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad. Hey, this is actually a good time to get into it. My brain's in a good spot for it. Late in the day, I don't even want to get into this depth. Man, there's a lot here. I want to make this so that I can not have to write the whole thing to see some of it working. Otherwise I'll get lost a little bit. Early on made errors will take a long time to figure out. Yep, definitely. So, thinking through maybe a first phase. Revise. Got the first search. That's a nice chunk. Still, it'll take me some hours, but I'll be able to, at the end of it, be able to see pretty clearly if it's working or not. And then my foundation is solid to get into more complexity. Let's do a git commit, because I'm about to embark on a large set of changes, destructive changes to previous work made. Ooh. Also, maybe it's a good time to swap out my backup tape, since I've been running the same backup tape for several days now. Today is Saturday. Use my Saturday backup cartridge. Yeah, I use RDX cartridges. And yeah, I've got I went through a couple of backup crises in my life. The first one I was totally unprepared. The second one I was using off-site synchronization with Dropbox. It's a long story, but there was a point in time where Dropbox had deleted all of the files from my project off of my computer, and they were on their servers, and I couldn't get it off of their servers. And I was talking to support, and for security reasons, their support staff is incredibly feeble. It was terrifying, and I actually lost a fair amount of work. I don't know, not that much, a couple weeks of work, but yeah, and then I said, okay, Dropbox is the problem. So I switched to, I tried pCloud, I tried iCloud, and I learned not to rely on having project files on that you care about being directly synced to an offsite backup source. And I said, fuck them all. It's not part of my strategy anymore. So now I've got my own local backups, and I've got a fire safe. Every once in a while I put one over there. Yeah. The thing with Dropbox was it was like the stuff they did actually made a tiny bit of sense. It had to do with symbolic links. I was using symbolic links in the directories that were being backed up, and they had what they thought was a reasonable migration plan to stop supporting symbolic links, but the end result of it was they deleted all the files and put theirs. So it worked for a long time. And one thing you just said, but that can change. You have no control over those clients. Exactly. And that's exactly what happened there. So even if there is some offline or online backup service that is working fantastic today, maybe not next week, maybe not tomorrow. That's what happened with Dropbox. So I'm just, it's not a viable strategy for any data I care about anymore. The only thing I'd recommend it to somebody for is if they've got some kind of need to move between different computers and different locations and have all the data available wherever they go. And even then, I wouldn't use it as your primary backup. And certain types of software, I would say there's a little bit of risk that you'll end up corrupting files when the same files are shared across multiple computers in that way. So it's not like anybody at Unity says, we need to make sure that on a shared network drive with synchronization, everything's going to work right. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Google Drive handles symbolic links great, but no, you had the same kind of nonsense I did. Yeah, it was terrifying. I was looking at like a half year's worth of work just being gone. I was on my vacation in Hawaii, and it was all relaxed and nice. And then on the night coming back home, it's like there's no files on my computer. And then on the flight home, I think I just got to get to my computer. I gotta see if my files are still on my computer. I know they took them off my laptop in Hawaii, but when I got home, they're not on my local computer either. You got to do it yourself. That's the conclusion I've come to now. So, and you know what? There's old school technology called rsync. It works like a champ. It's great. It's good open source software that's been around for years and years and decades. It works great. The other thing too is maybe you've looked into backup stuff in depth. It sounds like you have. But one thing I learned is all media is going to die. There is no such thing as a piece of media that everyone knows is going to last for your entire life. You know, they've got like these things called like M-disk. Yeah, I got a little script too. And I appreciate that these people that make the M-disk, which is like a really kind of, I guess, ruggedized optical disc format, I appreciate that they have done a lot to engineer it to last for a long time. But it's like you don't know how long it's going to last. You just don't know. There's no way to tell. So now I just think of all types of archival media as a sinking ship, and you just have to build another boat every once in a while and move over to the other boat. All your data just kind of shuttles around like a refugee from one media type to another. Yeah. I've got these RDX drives. I've got 2 extras. I don't bother with any kind of encryption or compression on them because I feel like that makes the chances of being able to dig out some data 10 years from now harder. Because like they were like zip disk formats and stuff, and I've been called in as a consultant a few times to restore from old backups, and then they don't restore. It's just like you've been scrupulously making backups again, and you didn't do a restore. And I'm not like a big IT department, so I'm just trying to keep it simple. Yeah. So I've got these daily tapes or cartridges, RDX cartridges, which are just like all the non-mechanical parts of a hard drive, and rotate those through, and then every year, which might not be often enough, I kind of do a more permanent archive where I make 2 copies of my project files, and maybe some of my project files, if it seems like they're not active anymore, I delete them from my hard drive and just let them be in the archive. And then those go into like a fire safe type thing. At some point I might think about like offsite, like just get a friend of mine to keep one of the tapes at his house or something like that. Yeah, it's weird. It's no joke. If you make data, if you make projects and data that you care about, you got to have the backup. And then there's a weird thing where you're kind of alone in the world on this. You got to figure it out yourself. I mean, you can have some other company handle it for you, but then you're never quite safe. So it's not like I want to figure it out. It's just, it's just like being able to change the oil in your car or something, Yeah, I hope they come up with something better. I would love it if they just come up with something that's like, this is permanent, or this always works, something like that. Requirements are, it needs to even then you can picture that stone just wearing away, just like you go out, carve it into a stone, like the hieroglyphics and the pyramids. They're not, I'm not really trying to make it last longer than my lifetime, but yeah, the other way to make yourself safe is go open source and get it on multiple servers. And yeah, I don't even know about that strategy. That's just a variation of the online backup or the cloud backup. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's some better solutions in mind. They take more expertise and effort than I have, or that I'm willing to put into it. I've already put in quite a bit. But yeah, I looked into Amazon a little bit too. They have like some interesting like deep storage type stuff. I do appreciate how they've transactionalized it all. So like there's some data that like you can request it and then it'll come back like a day later, because it's all, maybe it's different than that, but there was like some really lengthy access time to get to this deep storage stuff, but it's cheaper than regular active storage. I like stuff like that. I like it when people operationalize things like that, but again, you're just relying on this third party. Alright, back to the algorithm. Okay, also I gotta do my git commit. Gotta grab one more cup of coffee and I'll go deep in this thing. cut a roadmap. I want some kind of a delegate for my obstacle function. Can walk to, from to, board. Okay. So let's do Huh. Maybe this function I already wrote can be used. Let's see. Wow. This is a bonus of writing good names for functions. Occasionally, you just find you already wrote the function that you needed. Don't write functions until you're going to use them. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit belts and suspenders because I also write all these huge comments along with all the naming. It's like I'm writing a friggin' novel, but it seems to work for me. Yeah, I mean, there's a good argument that, you know, you could get rid of these comments because there's a cost of writing them and maintaining them. Kind of like unit tests. Get rid of anything that's not just really not obvious. And then that would also kind of push me, if I was going to say I'm not going to comment as much, to a lot more refactoring, because then I would be refactoring bits of code in my functions to give that bit of code like a conceptual name that would end up self-documenting. It's pretty reasonable. Who knows, next year I might even be more into that type of style. I have been in the past. But I also like, and this goes against some conventional wisdom, having longer functions to just have everything that needs to be done in one place. People say, oh, this is terrible, you can't keep that all in your head, put it all off in other functions. I'll follow the dry principle and refactor stuff if it's going to be reused. Or if there's like a really clear conceptual chunk, like is road square at delta, that's pretty clearly conceptual. But then you start writing stuff like if the name of it's incredibly vague or very long, then that's a clue to me that I probably ought to just put it in line. So I don't know. That's my own set of heuristics I use for it. Yeah. I'll split them for dry, and I'll split them for don't repeat yourself, and I'll split them for what you just said. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a silly argument when people say, okay, the function is way too long, it's hard to understand it, and then you replace that with a bunch of little functions that don't have much conceptual chunkiness, And then it's just like you have to jump around between all these functions to see what's going on. It just ends up wasting your time that way and confusing you that way. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things are kind of tied to how people's brains work too. I've always been a very writerly person. Like, it helps me to think, to write things out in the English language. Other people, it doesn't help them as much. It slows them down a lot. So I feel bad for ESL people that struggle with language too when they get into like a shop where everyone's insisting that everything be named really well and commented really well. Because it can be a huge productivity hit for people. Okay, so I can say here. I haven't used Visual Basic in a long time, but yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to see what it got to after all these years that I haven't looked at it. I think I stopped using it in the late 90s, not for any like moral reason or like that, but just the work I was doing moved on away from it. Oh, that's cool. The only thing I want to do with this is get it to go up and down. And for that, I think I need okay, let's see, one simple thing I can do that'll make this clearer. Just put this down here. Let's make this static. If I do static, I think it won't be serialized by default. Thank you. You saved me a lookup. Alright, let's move this guy up to the top. Start fixing this is cross road. Or a crosswalk, I mean. Okay. Let's see if this thing compiles. not going to rename all these. That would just be a crazy amount of work for the sake of consistency. But I do need to set my renamed variable. Forget where it was. Oh, I explicitly said it. Okay, so in the scene I did. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Alright, I lost all my crosswalks because of that property change. That's okay. I can get them back real simple. And it's not a bad idea to just have a limited number of them so that my testing goes faster. Yeah, I mean, worst case, I can check out on the deserializing side and see, oh, did you actually try and deserialize that value? Oh, I'll see. I could add a non-serialized attribute in front of it, but if I don't need to, then I don't want to, because it clutters. Okay, so let's set this to be crosswalk. There we go. So now there's just one crosswalk. Let's put this guy over here. So once it's up and going, he'll be able to just go right to the crosswalk. Okay. Just getting a text from my family about wildfire stuff. Okay, I guess things are getting better in Oregon with the wildfires where my family lives, so that's nice. Feels like I'm potentially forgetting something big. Yeah, me too. Yeah, really, yeah. I really miss from C++ being able to declare methods and classes as const. That was a sweet way to kind of keep yourself from shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah, I kind of hate this thing too. Like, okay, so you declare something static, and okay, that's fine. Yeah, now you've got a certain level of insulation. But in C, you know what I could do? I could say I want to instance something one time. I could say my bystander piece is instanced in here. I do it one time, and it's still, the scope is limited. You can just have it accessible inside of this function, and then it gets instanced one time. I really wish C# did that. What you'll see in my code a lot of times is I'll put outside of the function declaration. Oh, really? All right, wait. So if I do, let me see, static struct. Well, no, but like if I just did like static int C, like that's not valid. I'd have to put it outside. Is there some way to declare variables that are shared between calls, but without exposing them to all the other static functions, or you know, I don't know. I did like that thing in C where you can have like these self-contained, reused variables. But yeah, let me move this up top too. That's, yeah, whatever language I'm in, I'm missing something from another language. Like this really junky, not rigorous thing you can do in JavaScript of just putting together on the fly a data structure in a non-typed way. That's really useful at times. Like sometimes I want it to be typed and just follow exactly the declared hierarchy and everything. Other times, when you're passing a lot of data around, you're doing functional stuff, it's real nice to just say, I'm going to invent a structure. Oh, C# has var. I should learn a little more, but I shouldn't be an ignoramus. C# var. I thought it was just like, you know, you can assign any type to it, but can you invent a new kind of type? So like in JavaScript, you can go let records equal, you know, invoice ID 3, and then inside of that, you know, you can have, you know, I don't know, an array and more stuff and more hierarchy, and just put it together right there and not have a type definition for it. Yeah. But like when you're doing just like a lot of data processing stuff, particularly with the functional style of programming, just being able to ad hoc types together is quite useful. Combined with some kind of optional typing, it's pretty nice. Yeah, I heard there's what, like F# would be kind of the functional version of C#. I was wondering if maybe some of those, I haven't looked into F# yet, but I thought maybe some of the features I'm missing might be in there. But that won't help me in Unity. I don't think there's a, maybe there's some kind of compilation option that would generate Unity usable source. I don't know, or would compile to something the Unity engine could build with. Probably someone's figured it out. All right. Let me get back into this. So I suspect this is not right. This is not going to be useful to me. Yeah. Here's my crummy little convention. See, like where I want this variable that's only used inside of this function, I would prefer it be declared inside the function, but I just like put it right above it. Okay. This could be a const though. This I can get away with. Let's do const. It's not gonna like that, is it? No, that's so far so good. No, that's what I really want to do. That would make things nice for me. Huh, I don't know. But I mean, it's inside of a static function too, which means it's not referencing, the instance of the object. Do I already have this? I appreciate it, but that might be quite a little. I don't want to waste your valuable time, sir. Yeah, yeah, it's a good feature. Yeah, it allows you to keep the nice encapsulation uh, of static methods without getting back into access to these extra global scope type variables again. Um, so you validated my rant. So that's worth more than actually finding a solution for me. It's more fun to be self-righteous than it is to be wrong and have a useful solution. Yeah, there's a thought. Yeah, I often do wonder, but I never have the appetite to really like dig into it. When there's something that seems like a bad design choice, why? Because you know that whoever designed the language thought really hard about so many aspects, and there are all these arguments and pros and con discussions about it. So something like C#, I don't think it was just an offhand choice. I don't think it was just a default choice. I think they probably talked about it and had a good reason for making it how they did. I mean, most things I just attribute a design flaw to people being rushed or a lack of consideration, but engineers tasked with creating programming languages get so into it. It's like one area of engineering that almost always is debated to death. Hours and hours of discussion and like the other thing would be like anything that's got like a networking standard or messaging or anything like that. That's also going to get debated to death, and there's probably some reason why it was the way it was. It might not be a good reason. It might be they waited other things out. Oh, so you got the authoritative statement about the lack of support. So intentional, right? And there's some decisions for removing things from languages that I like. Multiple inheritance. I remember writing like some multiple inheritance stuff and getting like really tied up in a straitjacket of my own design with it. And after that, I was a convert. I was like, okay, I like this thing. We'll just inherit from one class, and you can have a bunch of interfaces if you want. You can have multiple depths to your inheritance, but yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of omitting some things. Also, when there's 10 ways to do the same thing, and somebody just comes up with one or two, I'm a fan of that as well. If it covers the problem space pretty well with the simpler solution. If I was designing a language, I would not have both this style of declaring a function and also the lambda style. I would just probably just do the lambda, I guess. The lambda function style. I suppose I'm free to follow that myself, but yeah. I know. I might too. It's more just sort of like a momentum of previous decisions. If I started a new project, then I would also set like a whole bunch of new conventions for myself that are a little more consistent. Yeah. When I started writing the code, I didn't realize that I could just use all lambda functions, and now that I've got a whole bunch of functions that are written out full style, I guess I just don't feel the want to convert them all over. Yeah. So this is like for a year and a half of C# Unity coding. So I'm still developing my conventions. Yeah. Another thing too is like if you keep on developing new conventions midway through the project, it's a little torturous, because you have to go back and you either have to make peace with leaving all the old code in the old conventions, or you have to do like the hobgoblins of consistency thing and change everything over. You're always wasting time. So I'm letting my conventions mostly be the same at this point to work through the project a little bit more productively. Yeah. Yeah. With Unity, two things I wish I knew at the beginning. The first one is this thing where you should not do an alloc on every update. I already told you about this one. But you know that old adage, don't prematurely optimize. It's a stupid adage because it's a truism. The word premature is right there in it, which means it must be true. Because if you do something that doesn't have where it truly is too early or the wrong time to optimize, then it's by definition premature. However, if you have some knowledge that something will have a bad consequence later, then it's not premature to optimize. It's just appropriate optimization. Yeah, but the dead end that I got myself into, not a dead end, but just inefficient backtracking kind of a problem, is that I would just say new nice structure all the time. And a lot of code was based upon these data structures with allocations in the middle of the updates. It's a lot of work to go back and revise those. So, I'm not going to go back and fix all of them. Probably I won't, unless I find like some real performance problems. But yeah, I would much rather have just known at the beginning, this is something that will bite you in the ass, and then all my data structures would have been designed from the beginning to support like one-time allocation at the scene load or level load, and then no allocation or at least no deallocation, no freeing up until the level unloads. There was one other thing like that. I forgot what it was. I was like, I just said at the beginning of this little rant, there's two things, and I forgot what the other one was. Yeah, I've got down here Oh, wait a minute. No, that wasn't. You told me something else about unions. Oh, yeah. No, you told me this other thing too. Direct memory access. So I made a note of that. May be useful. God, what was the other thing that I wish I would have had at the beginning? All right, let's see if I can. How far am I away from just testing this out, debugging it, and it's looking pretty good. I think let's build it. Okay, let's see what it's doing now. This code is not interesting. The code that's interesting is here. So, yeah, okay, my one crosswalk. Actually, I've got 4 crosswalk squares, so it'll get called 4 times. All right. Gotta get rid of some of the coffee, then I'll come back. Boom. New code, what's it gonna do? Okay. That should be fine. Is it north, south, west, east? Yes, it is. Good. This will not work. Well, no, it won't. Okay. That will not work. Well, it'll overwrite. Jet Boy. Good morning. I guess for you it's probably afternoon. Guessing what, like 1 p.m., 2 p.m., something like that. 1:28, 2:28 p.m. There we go. Yeah. Alright, so I've got a grocery delivery that's coming pretty quick, and I'll end up stopping the stream when it gets here, and I'll go down and anyways, I'll come back later in the day after that. But let me see how long I can go before the grocery people get here. Jet Boy, don't be bored, man. You got your gamer system down there. You can do some programming. You can get some shit going. Okay, this is gonna fail. It won't crash. I don't think it'll crash, but it will overwrite in my uncompressed because this is still a 2D capable structure as opposed to 3D. I just made it so that this thing will go up and down steps. Where is it? Here. Yeah, there is the point where it's going to override stuff. Is it going to go infinite loop on me? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Because it's going to still mark squares as processed, and eventually it's going to stop having squares to traverse to that are unprocessed. Okay. Since I'm already right in the middle of a debug, I'll also go check my walk-to function, see if it's doing what it's supposed to. Okay. Yeah, what Drifter said. And later on, Jet Boy, there will not be enough time to do all the stuff you want to do. Like right now, you got so much time you don't even know. Later on, you get a job, or even just going to school. Like, I don't know. School will take up some of your time, but get a family going, get a job, then you're just fighting to get scraps of time to do the things that you want to do, to express who you are. So if you say you're bored, remember that later when you don't have any time, and think, huh, could have been doing some shit. But I'm not harshing on you, because it's the same for everybody in that sort of time before in that sort of high school or school, and while you're still living with your folks and everything, just feels like there's long stretches of time that are boring, but man, they're gold. They're gold. Don't take them for granted, buddy. Alright, I gotta stop for grocery delivery. I'll come back later. See you guys. Stop the stream!